Welcome back. I hope you're doing great. As a part of this video, we'll understand different data integrities. Within that, what is domain integrity? Let's get started. So in the data integrity, we have different types. First one being domain integrity. The second one is entity integrity. The third one is referential integrity. And the last one being user defined integrity. So when we talk about the data integrity, people classify them in a different way. This is one of the classifications which is available. Let us understand all these data integrity types one by one. So what is domain integrity constraint? Domain integrity constraint is a set of rules that restricts the kind of attributes or values a column, a relation can hold in a database table. When I say restrict, what do you mean by restrict? We'll understand with an example. Let us take this entity here. We do have employee ID, name, salary, and age. So how many attributes are there in this particular table? We do have 4 attributes. Can you just observe this table and see if everything is okay here? Looks like you got what is happening here, right? So if you see here, this particular value is not following the norms. When I say not following the norms, we have defined salary should take only int or float. In that case, what do you think is happening here? We are saying 800 ABC. That is not according to whatever the constraint would have defined. So as a part of the domain integrity, we define a set of rules that restricts the kind of attributes or values a column or a relation can hold in the database table. We understood that with an example. Within domain integrity, we do have different types. As I already indicated earlier, what happens is different people had a different ways of classification, but this is one of the classification they are following. Within domain integrity, we do have check constraint, we do have default constraint, then we have a not null constraint, then we have a unique constraints. Let us look at the check constraint as a part of this lecture. What exactly is a check constraint? In a check constraint, we limit or restrict the value range that can be placed within a column. If you see at a high level, domain integrity defines it is a set of rules that restricts the kind of attributes or values a column or relation can hold. Now within the check constraint, we are limiting or restricting the value range. What exactly is the value range here? Value range can be anything. For example, we are talking about please only specify a int values. Okay, the int may have a lot of range, but there is a range, right? We are saying, okay, please allow only the int values here. Or within the int, I can say, please only allow a number between 0 to 1000. So there are restriction at a broader level, and there can be restriction within that broader level, a specific restriction. So check constraint will allow us to specify the constraint to restrict the value based on the value range. When you specify a check constraint while defining the table, then while inserting the data, any RDBMS like Oracle or MySQL would evaluate the inserted or modified values. Then whatever the values which satisfy the condition according to the constraint what we have defined, only those values are inserted. It will allow us to insert only those values. Then if any values which are not satisfying the constraint, either it will throw an error or they will be discarded. This is how any check constraint works when we are inserting the value into a table defined with a check constraint. Let us take an example here. Okay, let us say you created a table. The name of the table here is employees, which has a ID attribute, name attribute, and salary attribute. So here we are specifying a check constraint. It says salary should be greater than 0. Who on the earth wants to take a salary less than 0, right? Yes, we define a check constraint greater than 0. So assuming that you want to insert these values like 1 John 350, 2 Mike 0, 3 Nicola minus 72. Can you think what may happen while inserting the data here according to what we have already explained? Yes, you are thinking right. The first record will be inserted without any problem. But the second one and third one has a problem. What is the problem? We have defined a check constraint as salary should be greater than 0. But what is the salary here? It is 0. And what is the salary here? Minus 72, which is less than 0. So this is how the check constraint work. Let us take a hands-on example and see this.